Welcome to Littleton Common, November 2022.
Here we are in November already. I'm still putting my summer clothes away. The weather stayed warm for so long, it didn't seem as it was really necessary to put them away yet. Guess we'd better get ready. Who knows what will happen now?
Yeah, November means the start of a lot of things. For one, the days get shorter and colder. And we have our fall town meeting and state elections in November. It's also the beginning of the holiday season, with Thanksgiving and Christmas being the main ones.
You know, when I was visiting my niece in California, I enjoyed the cover of their newsletter. I felt it would be nice if all seniors felt like the guy in the cover. So California, isn't it? It states that aging is a balancing act. And isn't that the truth? Each day can bring a surprise, and how we feel or not. This is why I think that staying active is a big part of feeling good. I am glad we seniors in Littleton will have a senior center for programs that will keep us active and involved. I'm looking forward to what kind of activities will be available. Something to keep seniors from not being lonely or useless. And seniors are far from useless and should never feel that way. Yes, life is a balancing act, so roll with it. Today, we have a senior who is sharing her talent with our younger friends. This is what we seniors should do. As we get older, we become teachers in many ways. A source of information, stories on history, experience in many fields, and willing to share. The word today is intergenerational, learning on both sides. I recently met a young neighbor who became interested in the old art of quilting. How perfect for an intergenerational meeting. When I learned Lizzie Boyer and her sister Emily were quilting, I knew they had to meet Barbara Kamb, a prize-winning quilter, and knew you had to meet them too. Here is the perfect intergenerational experience. Our leader who's an elder at 92, and youthful Lizzie at 12, sharing this old craft from both sides. Lizzie's sister Emily couldn't be here today, but shares this hobby. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Barbara, I want to start with you, and I want to ask you, what got you interested in quilting?
Well, I always sewed. As a young child, I learned to sew from my mother, and I sewed on an old treadle machine. I sewed clothing, and later on I sewed draperies and curtains and household things for myself, and I just love sewing. I love crafts, handcrafts. One time, my mother and I went to visit my great aunt, Aunt Annie, and she was at her daughter's in West Roxbury, and when we went in, Aunt Annie had this quilt set up in her kitchen, in her daughter's kitchen. A full-size quilt set up in a full-size frame, slats, 4 slats, and she was quilting, and I had never seen that before. And I watched and I watched and I watched, and I said, Aunt Annie, I really want to learn how to do that. So she said, well, I'll come out to Littleton and we'll do it. So actually, she was working on a quilt in this pattern. This is called Trip Around the World. And I said, well, that's the pattern I'll start on. So this was actually, it's very faded now, but this was my very first quilt. And with Aunt Annie, everything had to be done by hand. No machine touched the work, just by hand. The sewing, the quilting, the piecing, everything. So I started, and she started me out. It starts with one little square. Every square had to be cut out separately, sewn separately.
wait a minute. I want to explain to people. Look at these tiny little squares. And there's a bunch, 1,000 or something. And this would make me quit quilting.
No. This, in fact, I went on, this one has the red border, and I went on to make a second one in the same pattern. This pattern actually is called Trip Around the World, or some people call it Boston Common. So, but the second quilt I made for my second son with a brown border, and that brought out the rust and brown, which was brighter then, you know, it was bright. And this, of course, brought out the few reds. So this was actually my first quilt, and this was made in the late 1950s, 1958 or 9, yeah. So,
Yeah,
so
when you were youthful.
I was
Liz.
youthful then, right, exactly.
Whoa, I'm sorry, but I keep looking at it and I think, and to make more, I mean, what do you think, Lizzie? Little tiny, are you interested in doing that size?
No. I feel like I would quilting.
No.
Well, if I did it, it would be bigger squares.
The whole thing with this is you could pick out your row and have it in order and take it wherever you went. I mean, we used to be able to sew on an airplane. You know, take
Sure.
a needle and thread and scissors and everything. Or in the car, any place you could take your sewing with you and do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's something I grew to love, and Aunt Annie stayed with me, kept me going all those years. She took her last quilt out of the frame when she was 90.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, I guess you could do it as a hobby forever.
yeah. So
How many did you make altogether?
probably about 15 full-size quilts, and I've given them since to my family. You know, this is the only one I have left, and this was the first one. But I worked on several others with groups, you know, around a big frame.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of quilts. So
Well,
yeah, I love it.
yeah. How many have you made so far?
I have made, what I tell people, I have made 2.5 because I made my first one and my second one, which was me, and help from Mom because I'm not a professional seamstress. Anyways, and then I made one with my sister, a Monopoly quilt, and I'd call that a half because it was me and my sister splitting up the work.
She made one with all dogs on it, and it is so sweet. It is I love that quilt.
I embroidered on that quilt
Yeah.
all of the dogs in my neighborhood and all their names and a little symbol that,
Is Billy Bob on it?
yeah, Billy Bob's on it.
Thank goodness he would be hurt. Well, excuse me. I probably will get raspy a little bit, but we'll go through it
Okay.
anyway.
I do recipe very well.
Oh, good. You know, I couldn't resist having Lizzie meet you because she was talking about her mother and she told me about the quilting. And I was so excited because you don't hear about young ladies
Right.
quilting. And I guess there might be a few. Do you know any?
I know some of my friends and people that I know can sew, but I don't think any of them have made a quilt.
Yeah. And think about it. I used to sew a lot of our clothes for my children and my husband and myself, but they outgrow them and they're gone. But your quilt is with you how many years with you?
Yeah.
So I think it's a very, very good hobby to have because you'll always be warm because you'll have blankets. When your children grow up and get married, you have a gift.
Yeah.
already, you know? So I think it's such a good hobby. I hope people get inspired to do this. Or we hear from some that are quilting, even young people, boys, girls, whatever. I mean, because anybody can do it.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I taught the winter quilting class at Lawrence Academy for 14 years.
wow.
And the teenagers, you know, the boys and the girls, they all brought in sewing machines, and we went to Joann's, they pick out their patterns, their fabric. They did fantastic quilts, and the boys too. They just, yeah.
Good.
My
They did.
So it's either my great grandma or my great great grandma. It was one of my mom's grandmas, anyways. She made this scrap quilt out of different fabric that she had just accumulated from like quilts and clothes and things, and she made this quilt. My mom got it, and I slept under it one night, and it was the best thing ever because it feels like just a million people are giving you a hug, and you can feel all of the love and everything that went into that quilt, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
I know.
And if you don't do this, you appreciate somebody doing it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. If I had seen this, though, I know I'd never start quilting. But then again, I'm an instant gratification kind of person. You know, I want to do crafts that I just finished
Finish
2
them right
minutes
away.
ago. I started 4 minutes ago. No, I spend a little more time. But yeah, I guess I can't sit that long.
Yeah, a quilt might have taken me like 2 years. Yeah, to
Wow.
piece it and then to quilt it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You use a sewing machine?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
used a sewing
Yeah,
machine.
I think everybody's doing that now.
Yeah, true.
You have, you know, your nieces.
Yeah.
Sewing
and actually,
machines?
actually, one niece has a big quilting machine that she quilts the quilts with afterwards, you know.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, keep going, Lizzie, and we'll have to find you all this equipment.
Yeah.
We'll have a fundraiser.
You know where the fabric is.
Yeah, this is how Lizzie got to meet you, was that she needed some fabric, and I knew where to go. Right there. And that was a good way to introduce you to Barbara, and I'm glad that I did, because she would have a wealth of information for you, too.
Lizzie had the best day, honestly. She came up to my sewing room, and I had 2 big plastic containers of blues, and she was looking for blues, and she was just crazy with it. Just, oh, this is so fantastic. Oh, this is so wonderful. And she just had a ball for the afternoon.
I mean, when you get up there, it's just like so many patterns and shapes and different things. So it's like, it's better than Joann's. And that's saying a lot. But it's really cool.
Yeah. So actually, when did you get started, Lizzie?
I started quilting, I'd say, I want to say around 3rd grade.
Wow.
And that was just a scrap quilt. So my older sister, Caitlin, she made a quilt for one of our family friends who's done a lot for us. So she made her a quilt, and I think either Mom gave the idea or I gave the idea. I was like, but I ended up making a quilt, and I just used scrap fabric and sheets that we had used. I even my mom has these purse pants, and I cut up some of the pockets so I could have pockets in my quilt.
Oh, cute.
And I just made squares about yay big, so it wasn't a very difficult quilt. And then my mom made it easy, right? But I quilted that, and then I made the dog quilt, and then I made 2.5.
Well, I got to tell you, Barbara is the person to talk to, because she belonged to quilting clubs that they not only quilted, I think this must have been a fun club, they did little skits. And did you have to write them, each one of you? And
Yeah.
they did the skits, and tell them about the museum.
Oh, well, actually, the New England Quilters Guild was fashioned in 1970s. And we got together and we started the guild, and it grew, and it just was a small group. After a few years, it grew and it grew and it grew into thousands of members all over New England. And then in 1983, we had a 10-day quilt show at the Topsfield Fairgrounds, and we had 3 buildings, and we had 10 days, and we slept overnight there to guard the quilts.
Oh, yeah.
So, but we raised enough money to start getting serious about finding a place for the quilt, to start a quilt museum, which we did. And there was a committee that did that. And they found a place in Lowell, and it was on the first floor underneath, it was one of the old mill buildings. And we had the quilt museum there for maybe 2, 3, 4 years, and there was a flood. So we had to move out of there. But then, by then, they had raised more money, and they actually bought the bank building where the quilt museum is now.
Oh.
And it is the second quilt museum in the whole country.
Oh.
Yeah, I saw that on Chronicle one night recently.
You felt like a part of that, that's for sure.
Right. It was work, but it was a lot of fun too.
Well, you were doing things you love to do.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to start a quilting club.
Oh, yeah,
Start a
definitely.
new quilting guild, the Littleton Quilting Guild.
Yeah. I want to take the time to show everyone your quilt,
I know.
your
yeah.
latest quilt.
This
This
is
the beginning of Quilters Club.
The Littleton Quilting Club.
All right, let me get back here.
Can I take a corner?
Yeah. Lizzie, you want to help me?
Sure.
If we can get this on camera. Oops, it's upside down? No, it's not.
No.
It's Monopoly. Of course it's up. Stand up and we'll take it.
Can you get it?
Yeah, I think so.
And maybe we'll fold the edge here so we can see the middle. I hope everybody can. Poor Barbara.
All right. Hello.
Okay.
Okay. This is my 2.5. So me and my sister did this. We went and got all of this colored fabric, besides the reds. But we got like the purple and the green and the blues and everything from Barb's house. And me and my sister, it was so funny because my mom had to like limit us. She was like, okay, so you have to do this and you have to get it done because otherwise we'd be there all day. And we switched out like the Park Place dark blues with purples, which is my idea and I really liked it. And this, so the top, me and my sister got really excited about it. We finished this in about, I want to say 4 days. Well, I would like the main base. It took us longer to build everything up, but I'd say like max it took us a week. And then this we made. So our original plan was to make it 10 feet, but so we could sit around it because it was our intention, and it is our intention to use it as like a picnic blanket. So we can bring all the pieces outside and just have, or bring it with us in a bag and lay it out and just have like a Monopoly board game outside.
That's
So-
wonderful. You embroidered the little pieces?
So my sister like kind of machine embroidered it, I guess. So she would cut out these little pieces and she would maneuver the blocks underneath the sewing machine so that they'd go along the outside so we could just put them on.
So that's so cute. So all these little guys have been a different fabric sewn onto the piece. And I like the idea that you can take this any place. Like Barbara was saying, you can make a quilt any place, but you can take this any place and play it. You know, if you were going to a friend's house overnight or something, you could say, well, I'll bring my Monopoly game. And you can fall asleep on it.
Yep. And I crocheted like the little pieces so they'd be bigger, and we're printing out bigger pieces. So it's a lot of fun to play because it's just bigger.
Yeah. What do you use do you use dice?
We're going to just use bigger foam dice.
Good. That's a great idea. Well, I love it. I do love it. You should make 1,000 of these and sell them.
That's what I told Emily, like, we are halfway done, and I was like, we could probably sell this for good money. And she was like, no.
I have
agree
to
with
tell you something. My son said, have them get a hold of the Monopoly company quickly.
Right.
And sell it to them. The idea.
Definitely.
It's really wonderful.
Well, then they
I'm
take
so
it.
proud of you.
When they were at my house picking out the fabric and arguing back and forth about what they were going to do, and I'm thinking, what in the heaven's name is this going to turn out to be? You know, because I couldn't imagine it was going to be like that. I
found out.
I know. I know what it's.
I want to see the dog one.
It's great.
I'll bring it in sometime.
Okay, well, I'm so happy both of you came today. Do you have anything else you want to tell us?
What do we want to tell?
Well, we're going to be watching, you know. I'm going to be watching Lizzie. You know, when she goes by the house, I'm going to say, Billy Bob wants to know, what's the next quilt?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm dismantling my sewing room, and I can't quilt anymore, so I'm through with it. So
There you go.
There you go. See, there's my...
It'll never end.
Right.
As long as people are still there to quilt, there's always going to be quilters.
Yeah. Well, you make sure you keep in touch with Barbara.
Right.
Oh, definitely.
Right. You know, I told her, I said, don't go to Joanne's anymore. Come to Barbara's.
All right. Well, I'm so happy you both came. And Lizzie, we're going to be looking for more quilts from you.
Yep. Have you got plans for your next one?
Oh, no, we're still trying to finish all the pieces for the one that we're on now, but one of our friends who quilted my dog quilt for me, she did this like painting quilt where she took all of her favorite paintings and she like printed them out on fabric. So I do want to do that sometime in my life. I don't know if it'll be my next one, but.
Well, you're going to get me thinking now. I'm going to be saying, I'll be sending you emails. Lizzie, I just got an idea.
And she will. She will.
Yeah, you're in trouble. So anyway, again, thank you for coming. And we're going to be keeping an eye on you. And maybe next year at this time we'll get together again just to see
Yeah.
what you're up to. Of course, by then you'll probably have even another hobby.
Probably.
Because I know you're interested in different things.
Too many projects in
Good
my
for
house.
you. Good for you. That's me too.
Yeah.
But anyway, take care of yourselves. Keep on quilting. And we will see you soon.
Yeah. Thank you for having us.
Good.
It's been fun.
If you have a talent or a craft, share it with us. Call or email Mark Crory, 978-540-2488, or email him at mcrory@littletonma.org.
Many of you may not be aware that this year marks the 100th birthday of an iconic location in Littleton. I'm talking about the Shattuck Street Building. In 1922, a new high school was built on Shattuck Street and officially opened for classes on September 4th, 1923. In 1936, in the depths of the Great Depression, the question of whether to repair the 70-year-old Union School, which was located where the new Hagar homesteads are being built, or construct a new building for elementary grades, it generated heated discussions. And members of the school committee at that time wrote the voters of Littleton and said, quote, "Very few of you, if you took the trouble to examine the premises, would either wish your children to continue under such conditions as now exist, expect teachers to do the good job they are hired to do, or wish to put their money into a patch-up job," end quote. Well, the town followed the school committee's recommendation, and in 1938, a second building with 8 classrooms for grades 1 through 8 was constructed and linked to the existing high school by a gymnasium auditorium, a gift of G. Edward and Ethel B. Prouty. Now, this structure, with south and north wings on either side of the central auditorium, was dedicated as a Littleton Public School on January 3rd, 1939. It remained the only school in town until the town grew and decided to build a separate high school on Russell Street, which opened in 1957. Shattuck Street continued to be an elementary school until 1981, at which time the town took it over to become the town hall that houses various departments, including our very own LCTV studio. In fact, we're taping from the old gymnasium, which was converted into our studios in the mid-1990s. So happy 100th anniversary to the Shattuck Street Building.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, isn't it cool? And you can still see on the floor here, in some areas, the original floor
Yeah,
of
yeah. I really didn't know the whole story, so I'm glad that I just heard that.
yeah. Some people think it was all built at one time because it looks the same. It's all
Right.
that red
Yeah.
brick, but it was actually in different phases.
Uh-huh.
In fact, so after the 2 wings were built, then the very third part, where it used to be the library, was built even further down the road from that. So,
Yeah.
but at one time it was grades K through 12, and my parents went to school here. I went to school here, elementary school, and you know, this was kind of the center of activity in town because it was a new building. When they built the auditorium, it became a place for people to come to have dances and things like that. And in those days, when the schools would have a prom or a dance, a lot of residents came too.
Really?
Not just parents, you know, to spy
That's
on their
cool.
kids.
Probably because it was such a small town, too.
It was. And there wasn't really television and stuff and things to do. So,
Yeah.
you know, sports were big. You know, a lot of the town would come up to see the high school play their basketball games here in the gym. We had one of the nicer gyms in the area because you could actually shoot a full shot because the ceilings were so high.
Ah.
A lot of gyms, you had to shoot underhand or do layups because the ceiling was so low.
I was just looking at the room and thinking, compared to what we have today
Yeah,
for
I
gyms, wow. This
I know,
is
it's
a
tiny. It's tiny, but in 1938, it was a good-sized gym.
Maybe we were shorter.
But maybe that was true, too. Yeah. Well, for many of us, Thanksgiving not only means a time to be thankful and to share a meal with loved ones and relatives. And notice I put loved ones and relatives in separate categories. They're not always in the same group. But in Massachusetts, it means football. And many states don't have the tradition of playing high school football game on Thanksgiving. But in this area, we've been doing that for over 100 years. So if you want to see your local Littleton Tigers in action this year, you're going to have to travel to Ayr, as they will be taking on the Ayr Shirley Panthers at 10 a.m. on Thanksgiving morning. And don't forget to start the day off with a nice breakfast at the Rotary Club's annual pancake breakfast. And that's served from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Littleton Middle School. And the cost is $3 for senior citizens and kids and $6 for adults.
Wow. What are you doing for Thanksgiving?
Well, what are you doing for Thanksgiving?
Well, first we're going to have, I assume we always do, have a family, big deal at my house. I have to do the cooking too. Maybe all of them are grown up enough now. They could take over the cooking and...
Yeah, but I can speak for all the sons out there. There's nothing like mom's cooking, Even though your wife does a great job, my wife, good job. But,
Yeah, but my son, I think he told me once that his army cooking was like mine. So I won't comment.
Nice.
I do make a good turkey, though.
I bet.
But November's a big month for us because, my son celebrates his birthday close by in November, or late November. My granddaughter, my daughter, my grandson, and myself.
And you, yes.
Yeah.
We will be celebrating on the 17th.
Yeah.
17th of November. See, I remembered.
Will you remember that day?
I might. You might. I set my reminder on my phone to come up and call Barbara.
Yeah,
now.
Good.
Now.
Yeah. I want big presents, by the way.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, got it.
The annual Littleton Holiday Bazaar, that's coming. And it's going to be held on Saturday, December 3rd, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Littleton Middle School. You know that Millie McGovern and Nancy Morrison have been working hard to make this year the best ever, and they've been doing this for many, many years. There will be many community organizations and churches selling their wares. And also, we hear that Santa will be taking time out from working in his workshop to spend time with us as well.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way.
Santa, a couple letters came in the mail today.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Claus. Ooh. This is the first Christmas letter from a child named...
Who's it from?
Evan. Says his name is Evan. Says, Dear Santa, I hope you are well. I have been very good this year.
Oh.
All I want for Christmas is some Legos, that's all. And if you could bring my other gifts to my friend Brian, that would be okay. He doesn't have much. That's really nice. That's what the spirit of Christmas is all about. Do you have another letter too?
I do. This one
Oh, that one got...
is actually from Littleton.
Oh.
Remember how we went there last year?
Yes, that was a lot of fun.
It was.
Yeah. It says, Dear Santa, I want to invite you and Mrs. Claus to come to the Holiday Bazaar again this year in Littleton at the middle school on Russell Street. And it's going to be on December 3rd, and it's to help the Scouts with a fundraiser, and then the families will bring their children and have the photos taken with us. That's going to be really nice. I had a lot of fun doing that.
It was a great time last year.
It really was. So I look forward to doing that. Got to put that on the calendar.
Definitely.
That's great. And the day after the Holiday Bazaar, on Sunday, December 4th, Santa returns once again to Littleton for the annual tree lighting on Littleton Common. And this event is from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. So do you usually go to that?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good,
Love
I saw the pictures from last year. I don't normally go because I live far away,
But you've been.
Yeah, I have been. And it's a good event, and the band is there, and Santa arrives on a fire truck, a red one, because
The
his
kids
sleigh
love
is
that.
ready. Oh, the kids love it, yeah.
And there's lots of new people in town that, if they've never been to one like this because they lived in a town that never did it or a big city, they should come.
Definitely.
Yep.
Definitely. Well, Barbara, for many years, you have designed and made the wooden block that the Historical Society sells. And I'm curious to know, what is the design this year?
I'm not sure I'm supposed to tell.
I
Every
think-
year they keep it a secret.
Really? Well, I think by the time this, yeah, you're right.
Okay.
This will air.
I'll.
Give it up.
What can they do?
That's right.
Fire me?
Yeah.
It's going to be Springdale Farm stand.
Oh, nice. The new one? Or the old one?
The old one.
The old one.
They like sticking with the older look.
I get you. Wow.
Yeah.
And how many of those do they make to sell? Do you know?
Well, as many as they need. So they add on if they need more.
Oh, so they take orders. They don't have them there on location.
No, they have them there.
Oh, okay.
They have a lot there. But they also, have them ready so that to make again in case someone comes in and they're gone.
I got to tell you that growing up, in Littleton, I remember my parents started the collection of these wooden figures on the thing in our kitchen.
Oh.
And I was always wondering where they came from, and they would say, we got them at, Historical Society or whatever. I had no idea, obviously, that you made them. We didn't even know each other back then. But that was 40 years ago. So you've been doing this a long time, right?
Actually, I don't think it's that long, no.
Well, maybe,
They might have collected a different one,
okay,
but I think I have 30 maybe,
30 years?
yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe I'm selling myself
Yeah.
too old by saying that. But yeah, no, well, anyway, the point is I now have a collection here at the studio. I probably have a dozen or so, which either I've collected from, over the years, or you've given me some extras that you had. And we have a nice collection. I really love those. You do a great job on that.
Thanks.
It's
I enjoy
nice.
it.
Yeah.
The difference, I think, with mine and what the shops sell for other towns is I like putting all the detail. I'm a detail person, and I like putting all the detail. The ones that you buy that are different towns or just blocks are plain, very plain. They don't give any detail, just the color, windows, door.
Right. Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, especially I think one of my favorites are Johnson's Store. I think you did that one. And St. Anne's Church, because we lived across the street from St. Anne's. So my room, the looking out my room is exactly the view of that block.
I'll be darned.
So whenever I look at it, I feel like I'm back home.
Yeah, right.
Grounded in my room.
Oh, that's why you.
Oh, I didn't say that. I meant.
And I hope that you looked at the church and said, I'll be good.
I did.
I
did.
promise.
I did. Anyway, thanks for doing that. I'm looking forward to
Thanks.
seeing
I enjoy it.
Yeah. All right, well, Critter Corner, we'll be back in future episodes, Critter Corner, that has all those helpful tips for your pets. And also, Park and Rec, who did a segment with us on last month's show, have become so popular that they are doing their own spin-off show, So look for that update from them on LCTV On Demand and, of course, on our cable channels. So now it's time to give this month's trivia question and announce the winner and answer from last month's show. First, last month, the question was, in what New Hampshire city was the depot fountain fabricated in? The answer was Concord, New Hampshire. So congratulations to Betty Reese for correctly answering the question. And this month, the winner of the trivia question will get two $35 gift cards to Burger King. Not one, but two. Bring your whole family to Burger King. So, and we want to thank the sponsor for that prize, Mr. George Sanders, for his generosity. All right, here's this month's trivia question. What was the date that the Shattuck Street School officially opened for classes? Okay, so officially opened for classes. If you think you know the answer, email me your answer at mcrory@littletonma.org and put Littleton Common Trivia in the subject line. And be sure to include a contact phone number so that we can let you know if you won the prize. And if there are multiple correct answers, we will put all the winning entries into a bowl and draw out a winner on the next show. And just a new little wrinkle we added is that you can only win twice a year. So every 6 months you have to wait to enter the contest, just to make it open to more people. So.
And we want a lot of contestants.
We do. We'd love to be able to announce the winner and draw it out of a bowl. It's more dramatic
kind of
that way. Yeah.
Fun. It also tells us that you care about watching
That's right.
the show.
I know we get a lot of views from the show because I can track different numbers, different places. So if everybody who at least I think watches the show were to enter, then we would have a bowl full of requests. So
that'd be nice.
It would. And it's doesn't cost anything but an email to to put your name in there. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And we can't. That's the sad thing.
That's right. We can't. That is a sad thing. I love Burger King. But anyway, so that'll do it for this show. Barbara?
Well, I just want you to watch us again, and I hope you enjoy the show. We enjoy doing it. And please don't forget to hug a senior, or at least show them a little bit of attention, because people seem to forget about us sometimes. And I'm not going to allow it here in our town.
No, not under our watch. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody.